Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? This is going to be short video on mostly money and gold and economics. I did change my title, and I thought it was a little bit overdue. It's been 14 years. How time flies. And I could edit it a little bit more. But I wanted to talk strictly economics right now. We'll get into football later. So I hear things and I want to expand on them. So one thing I did find was my thesis. So when I was in college, I did a thesis on the trade cycle, and I got an A. I got an A in it, and it's basically it basically goes through the steps of the trade cycle, which I'll get into in a different video. But it had me thinking. So what's happening now? There's a lot of. I just want to talk about a few specific things. All right. So there's gold and fiat, and there's deflation and inflation. I'm just winging this as I'm thinking right now. Interest rates. The free market, Keynesian versus Austrian. So let's just touch on those. So what I like to talk about is what is a market. Most people just don't understand what a market is. They tend to listen to government who are not really looking out for them. They're looking out for them. So a market is what somebody can buy and sell something. So if I have this Mahomes card, is there a market for it? What does that mean? So a market is basically something can be bought and sold without government interference. Free market is it's just me and you. I put it up for sale on eBay or at home, or your friends said, I got this card, I'd like to sell it. You'd like to buy it, and we negotiate a price. And that's what a market is. And it's a free market. If I'm too expensive, let's say I want $1,000 for this. You said, no, it's too much. Okay, so the goal is to figure out what I will part with it at what you'll buy it at. Maybe it's 500. Maybe that's not enough for me. Maybe I want to get more market. And that's what marketing is. Marketing is about developing a market like Canadian Club, right? I want to sell Canadian Club. Let's make a market for it. Let's have a marketing plan that says, do you want to buy this? And get multiple people in to bid it. And that's what the whole advertising and marketing is for pizzas, for McDonald's, for Coca-Cola, for all that stuff, is to try to get you to buy more. And that way they make more profit, because they're big companies want a lot of sales, right? If I'm doing this, I just want one sale. I just buy this. So why do I buy Mahomes? Because a lot of people like Mahomes. He's in demand. Versus Chris Carter. There's probably not that many people into Chris Carter. So I'd rather have a market of Mahomes than Chris Carter. No offense to Chris Carter. He's not Mahomes. So that's what a market is something I can buy and sell it. So now we get into gold versus fiat. What is that? Okay, so fiat is paper money, but it's just backed by the faith of the government. The government says, okay, you're going to use this euro to buy and sell goods and services. You go to work I'm a financial analyst. You're going to make $100,000. I'm going to pay you this. This is really worthless. However, in the market, I can go pay rent with it. I can buy a house. I can buy a car. I can buy food and groceries. I pay my utilities with it. but it really has no value. It's just a value that as long as I pay my bills with it, they will accept it because they have to, because the government forces you to. But that's not what we want. We don't want the government forcing us. We want a normal free market. So what we realize, this has no value and this is just paper. And therefore, when I'll hear my friends go, well, I pay with everything with paper. Why do I want gold? And because paper doesn't have a value. This is what's left of the dollar. It's worth 1 cent. It's lost 99%, basically lost 100%. Basically, it's worthless. The final straw will be when nobody wants it. So if nobody wants my Canadian club and I go, I'm gonna put it up for sale, and I get a buyer and nobody buys it, it doesn't have a value because I can't sell it. And that's what's happening to all the fiat dollars in the world. So all the countries have fucked themselves over. Like, all of a sudden, we've been on the gold standard, and Austrian economics is very strong and works. Sort of like a football team, right? You got the team and it wins. And then you change coaches and it doesn't win anymore. And you're wondering, well, why did we change coaches? Why did we change philosophy? This philosophy wins. So the dollar goes out, the dollar gets printed. Now, it's not a law, but basically, the more you have of something, the less it's worth, right? So this is 50 count. So this is worth, let's say, $1,000 because there's only 50 of them, and it's Mahomes. Now, here is a Reggie Jackson card. Now, everybody likes Reggie, but there's a million of these. This probably has a $2 value because they printed so many. It's more than the demand to cover the supply. So if the supply is 1 million and the demand's 500,000, there's 500,000 of these that aren't going to be bought. So the price goes down. So what you're looking at is dollars. You've printed so many of them that there's no value in it, right? If you've printed too many, there's no value. Nobody wants it. When nobody wants it, it goes to zero. And the same thing with the euro. Why does the euro have no value? Because they printed and printed. So the question is, why do they keep printing and printing? Why aren't they learning, right? On the gold standard, you can't print and print. You only have as much money as you have gold. The gold backs the money. It's an anchor. It keeps, so think of it as a balloon. It keeps the price down, right? So if you have an anchor, that's the price, and it's going to stay. But if you don't have an anchor, you're going to print and print and print until it's zero. And that's what's happened every time in the history of life. People who don't back the dollar, the value goes to zero every time. So why do countries do this? If they know it's going to go to zero, what the fuck are they doing? Part of it is the government there are crooks, right? They print the money because to them it's free money. Oh, look, I can print, like Money Heist, the first season, where they go into the bank and they print and print and print. They print €1 billion. But the value of the euro goes down because you printed it. So you make more supply, you lower the value. But if you're the ones printing it, you don't see it that way. You say, "Oh, good, I got $1 billion, whatever." So you think you can always print. You don't understand the value goes down. So what's happened now is there's nowhere to go with it. So you can have Coke and you can have Pepsi, you can have Canadian Club and you can have Doors and you can have beer and you can have vodka. You have options. In money, there's no option. It's all being inflated. The UK, Switzerland, all these great smart countries, they're all idiots, right? the euro, the US dollar, the yen, the yuan, the ruble, they're all worthless. They're all worth zero because they're just paper. They have no value. And when you do the FX that's gone on, where you're comparing your dollar to the US dollar, the problem is the US dollar is like the reserve currency because they're fucking everybody over. So if I'm in Switzerland and I got my Swiss franc and I want to buy a euro, I got to buy a dollar to buy the euro. I can't just take my Swiss franc and buy the euro. It's the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. So therefore, I got to buy dollars to get euros, and vice versa. If I got euros, I got to buy dollars to buy Swiss francs, British pounds, Chinese yuan. And so the perception of the US dollar is we don't like it because you're costing us money to make a simple transaction. I mean, in Europe, Switzerland's by themselves. If they travel to Germany or Austria, it's all euro. So they would need to buy dollar. I mean, it's stupid. It costs money, and it's all inflated. So my friend goes, well, I give her gold, and she's like, well, but we use paper. And I go, but the paper isn't worth anything. This is Ukrainian and Russian, Romanian. They use paper, but the paper has no value. And so I'm saying, well, the difference, there's nowhere to put it, right? So the dollar's collapsing because these guys are printing trillions and trillions like a bunch of kids, right? At a candy store, and I'm going to get 20 different candies. Like, no, just get one. And so this has no value and it's going out. So 3 or 4 years ago, Biden takes office, he starts printing $10 trillion here, $10 trillion there. The light automatically goes on going, well, that's going to be heavy duty inflation. I got to get out of the dollar. But what I realized is there's nowhere to go. I can't get into the pounds. I can't get into euros. I can't get into Swiss francs because I would have then taken $100,000 out of the bank and gone and bought Swiss francs and said, okay, because I know inflation is inflating the supply of money. I hate when people call it looking at the CPI or prices or anything because that's not what inflation is. That's the effect of inflation. Because basically, this is what the gold guys say. Well, it's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down, but it's the dollar loses value, right? So you always hear like, well, Star Wars was a high grossing movie, but if you bring it into if you adjust it for inflation, it didn't get $1 million, it got $1 trillion. I mean, what does that mean? Oh, you're adjusting for inflation. Why are you adjusting for inflation? Because they keep printing the money and it lowers the value of the dollar, which means it takes more dollars to buy things, which is why they try to look at it as prices. But as we get into the markets, you can't look at it as prices. Prices won't help you there. So what they're doing is losing the value of the dollar. The dollar's got no value, just enough for you to get paid. But even so, you're making $100,000. You're not making $100,000. You're making 60 grand. The value of the dollar has gone down. So when you get 100, it only buys. What that means is, so if I get 100, it only buys $60,000 worth of goods, not 100,000 worth of goods, like it would have 10 years ago. I know I was making like 35 when I graduated. And I could buy a lot more with 35 than I can with 100 because things have lost the value or the quality's gone or whatever. So the first thing you have to understand is the paper's worthless. The paper doesn't have an anchor, therefore it doesn't have a value, and it keeps going down and down till it goes out. And it goes out when nobody wants it. So it still has a little value. I can still get $5 for my Canadian club. But until there's no bids on it, then it's worthless. So if I still have bids, it's okay. What the U.S. is finding out, nobody wants their debt because they're not going to get paid back because they keep printing too much. And what they do get paid back is worthless. So what's our debate? Gold versus the dollar. So your only avenue, so let's say you got 300,000 in the bank. What people don't understand, or in Microsoft stock or Apple or whatever the hell you want to put your 300 grand in. But let's say it's in the bank. Well, as we just said, the value goes down. I'm doing an economics show, Greg and John. I'll do a football show later, but I wanted to get this out. So you're sitting there and you got 300 grand in the bank, and you don't realize it's not worth anything. You don't realize the 300K doesn't buy what 300K did in 1980 or 1990 or 2000. 300K buys very little. So if you really looked at that's okay, Greg and John. You can join in. I'm just saying this is economics. I want to just get economics so I can just say, if you want economics, watch this video, because I go 3-4 hours and I get football and economics and gold, and this way I can just focus on that. So you're sitting there and you don't realize that your 300K in the bank's really worth maybe $10,000. You don't realize that it has no more value. And they'll try to sell you the CPI, but that's not a good argument. And they leave things out. So it's not a really good judge of really where inflation is. And they'll say inflation's 2%, it's 20%. And it's not even measured in prices, it's measured in how much money did you print. And then it becomes the demand for your money. So we determined that if I keep 300 grand in the bank, it's worth nothing. It's worth $5,000. It won't buy you with 300 grand. Yet people retiring think, oh, I got 300 grand in the bank, I'm fine. Because your rent or mortgage or whatever is valued in that currency. Because it's valued there, you think, well, I'll just use it to pay my mortgage. But your food's more expensive. You want to go on a vacation, it's more expensive. You want to buy a car, it's more expensive. Then there's the fallacy of the interest rates going down. They won't go down. Then there's the fallacy of the Fed controlling interest rates for cars and houses, and that's not true. They only control the interest rate between the banks and themselves, what the banks will borrow the money from. When I got to give you the interest on your 300,000 and I don't have the money because nobody's putting the money in the bank, I can't get a loan. I can't loan out my money, but I need to pay interest out. So they'll borrow it from the Fed. But the Fed does not control mortgage rates and car rates. So it's all it's all an issue of the paper dollar not being backed by anything. And you're just printing it, and more you print, the less it's worth. But nobody realizes. You got a $100 bill, you go, oh, I got $100. Well, your $100 is worth 10. And that's the problem. So how do I get out of this? How do I save myself? What is the answer to survival of this? And your basic answer is is gold and silver. Why that? Gold doesn't go anywhere. Silver's 25 an ounce. Why would I put my money in that? It doesn't move. I'd rather buy Bitcoin, or I'd rather buy Microsoft, or put my money in a real estate trust, or buy a house. So what do you do with your money? And that's really the key, is what do you do with your money? And if you look at it, everything's paper that you're talking about. Well, I can't leave it in the bank because it's worthless, and it's worthless in dollars. So if I got 300 grand in the bank, I don't have anything. The bank will give me 5%. 5% of what? 5% of the paper that's not worth anything, that I'm losing 20% because of the inflation. I could buy stocks, but they're really overvalued, and the economy's tanking, and I'm still in paper. I could buy a house, but it's already gone My $200,000 house is 500,000, and interest rates are high, so it's going to cost me a whole lot more to buy a house. It's not going to be worth it. So that leaves you to what? A Rolex. I can buy the Mahomes card. I can do that. I need to buy real assets. Real assets is the hedge against inflation, which is the inflating the money supply to make it worth nothing. So, okay, I could buy a Rolex, but what does that do for me? It's still priced in dollars. So I got to get out of this whole dollar mechanism. So how do I get out of it? And the only answer is gold and silver, because gold and silver cannot be printed. They'll say there's no counterparty risk. I don't know what that means, but I do know what they can't inflate it means. They can't print gold and silver. Comes out of the ground, so there is some supply. We're not saying there's no supply, but not enough versus the demand. So the first thing we learn in economics is how much supply versus how much demand. So as I explained, this is 50 count. It has a better value than this, which has a million count, right? This is worth $1. Let's say this is worth 5,000, right? Because there's only 50 of them. So what I learn is, well, wait a minute, I want something in short supply that'll hold its value. And wait a minute, this, you know what? This isn't even money. This is just paper. This is not money. This is called fiat currency. It's basically paper by the government, not backed by anything. So this is this. This is, we've got this that is not backed by anything. So it's like the Reggie card. There's millions of them, no value. And they keep printing and printing, and they don't know what they're doing, right? But gold, you can't do that with. So hence, gold, if I buy, I don't have to worry about them printing. You can't print gold. It comes out of the mine, you make it, like in Money Heist, the second one, and they put it into bars and put it into coins. They stamp it, U.S., South African, Cougarans, Maple Leafs. My favorite, the Philharmonics from Austria. 1 ounce gold, $9.99. And you know you've got real gold, which can't be inflated. Now, what do I hear from these guys? Well, it's not the dollar going down. It's not gold going up. It's the dollar going down. Well, that's not entirely true. It would be true if gold was fairly priced. Fairly priced gold at this stage would be about $25,000 an ounce. But because we're blindsided by COMEX, which is paper gold, which is derivative gold, we think gold doesn't have a value. We sit there and go, well, why would I buy gold that doesn't have a value? Look, it's $2,000 an ounce, even with this heavy inflation. And then people tell these stories, well, you know, gold's just a hedge against inflation, and gold's just a, you know, if the dollar's strong, gold goes down. That's all bullshit. That's not true. Does this matter about inflation or about the dollar? No. What's the difference between this and gold? Absolutely nothing. They're both assets. The difference is that this is not money and gold is money. Gold in the Constitution of the U.S. is real money, and silver. And this should not even be allowed. This is not part of the Constitution. Neither is the Federal Reserve. And it clearly states in the Constitution there should be no Federal Reserve, because all they do is fuck everything up by printing all the money and taxing us. So we look at our option. Well, wait a minute. I can buy Microsoft. I get a dividend. I don't get a dividend in gold. Well, yeah, but gold goes from 5,000 to 20,000. Do I need a dividend? You're going to get that on your stock. So, and it's dependent on earnings. I don't need gold. There's no earnings in gold. So what it is it's a very safe, you can't lose in it because they can't inflate it or print. So you have gold that can't be inflated, can't be printed. It's minted, whatever comes out of the gold, but it's all over the world, right? So there's 255,000 tons of it, which is not a lot. and versus dollars, there's trillions and trillions of dollars. So you sit there and you go, this is my out. This is what's going to save me, because I can take my 300 grand in the bank that's worth nothing. Because the paper gold is at 2,000, I can then buy $20,000 gold for 2,000. They're waiting for me. So I can do that and buy the gold to protect myself. So there's two reasons you buy gold. One, to protect, because you know your 300 grand in the bank is going to be worth zero. But you know your 300,000 in gold can't go down. It can't be printed. They can derivative it with paper, but that's not real gold. That's not physical gold. That's like saying you can have a paper Mahomes card, and they're going to make 1 million of those. Well, wait a minute. I got this one. There's only 50. I got it in my hands. This is what I have. And the paper gold is like this. They print it and print it and print it. So there's a bunch of derivatives, assuming there's more gold, which there isn't. And that's what lowers the value of gold. And they're basically blindsiding everybody into believing gold doesn't have a value. The reason is that the government doesn't want you to buy gold. They want you in this. Even though they know this has got no value, they want to be important, because that's the role of the government. You need me. And if you're smart, you tell them to fuck off. I don't need you. And if I have gold, I'm fine by myself. So you have the gold because it protects you. If you buy 300,000, so you're going to buy 150 ounces of gold at 2,000 an ounce is 300,000. It'll never go down. Even if it's derivative, it won't go down, because eventually they'll blow up the derivatives because of BRICS and Russia and China. They have 100,000 tons of gold, and they want the price to go up, and they want to go gold. And half the world hates the U.S. because they go into the transaction and say, yeah, I'm from Switzerland and I want to buy British pounds, but I got to buy the fucking dollar. So what the game plan is with Russia and BRICS is, you're not going to use the dollar anymore. We'll use gold. So you take your Swiss franc and you buy so much gold, and then you can buy your British pound or your euro. Well, the demand for gold will go up, which will make the price go up. So with Russia and China are going to have gold-backed currency because their dollars are going out, and they hate the U.S. for what the U.S. is doing. These sanctions are coming back to haunt the U.S. Then it ends up where gold is, going to go up. Now, I know they say it's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down, unless the demand for gold goes up. Now, people are blind. They don't think gold has a value. Well, it's 2,000 an ounce. Why would I buy it? Well, you buy it to keep your 300 grand, because when the dollar goes out, your 300 grand's worth zero. That's your risk, because your 300 grand goes to zero. Your stocks go to zero. Your house is going to go to zero. Anything in money, in paper money, anything priced in this goes to zero, because this will stop being used. This goes to zero. This goes out. So now we need to find something else. So with gold, you have no risk. They can't print it. They can't print it to zero. Is there demand? Does somebody want gold? Is somebody going to want it? Absolutely. The whole world wants it. Russia and China, as much as they can buy. The central banks are buying gold for protection. But the key here is, not only is it going to protect our 300 grand, that's now worth 10 grand, but you can still get 300 grand in gold for it, because the people selling the gold are fucking clueless. And with the paper gold, they're keeping the price way lower than it really is. So when I go buy gold I go to a jewelry store that sells gold coins and bars, and I'll buy an ounce, $2,000, and I'll dance out of the store going, I just bought a $20,000 ounce of gold for $2,000. And it's beyond me how stupid these people are. Because if it's price fixed as it is, the price is not really free market price. Howard, so the question is, can we get a free market price? Or will JP Morgan keep doing the derivative bullshit to keep the price from getting the free market, which is the deterrent that people have? Now, it doesn't matter because my dollar is going to zero because these idiots in charge are printing and printing and printing, which I'm going to get to, which are Keynesians. Keynesian economics versus Austrian economics. We'll get to that. So the people in charge don't know what they're doing. They're pouring gas on the fire, wondering why the fire won't go out. And we're sitting there going, you're supposed to put water on the fire or sand on the fire. You don't put gas on the fire. Excuse me. So what we have are most people are not informed. The government keeps this, don't tell anybody. You go to a stockbroker or financial planner, they don't get commission on gold. Their job is to sell and they get commission, and that's how they make their money. So where are they going to put you? Not in gold and silver. There's no commission. They'll put you in stocks or real estate trust, as I tell you in these movies, where the guy loses everything because he's in a real estate trust because the guy put him in it because he gets commission on it, even though nobody was paying their mortgages. So if you want to protect yourself, you go into gold. So the $300,000 that's worth nothing now is worth $300,000 in gold. But the kicker is it's going to be worth a lot more because our friends in Russia and China say, no, we want gold to go up. We got all this gold. We want to get rid of the dollar because they sanctioned us and they stick their nose in everybody's business. We don't want them, but we're going to get rid of them financially, not with a nuclear bomb. That'll be the nuclear bomb, will be gold. So that's going to kill COMEX because COMEX can't keep. There's a new law in COMEX called Basel III, which says you can only do these options if you have physical gold. Well, as everybody's buying it, there's not a lot of gold left. They can't keep doing the options. So even if they keep doing the options, our 300,000 is turned into 150 ounces of gold is still worth 300,000. They can't make it go to zero because there's always demand for it between Russia, China, and the central banks. So they're always going to be buying it. They're loving it that it's only 2,000. So that's like buying this. Let's say this is a $100 bottle because it's a 12-year. Let's say I'm buying this for $2, even though it should be 100 because they're running options on it, which is fucked up. So your 300,000 in gold can never be worth less than 300,000. Your 300,000 in dollars is going to be worth zero because it's the way it's always happened because they keep printing it. The more you print, the less it's worth. They can't stop printing it. Now they have this lovely debt of $35 trillion and then this outside of the U.S. debt of $135 trillion from these countries holding U.S. assets, houses and stocks and money in the bank for safekeeping. But now they're going to realize, oh, fuck, the dollar is worthless. I got to get my money out of there, just like we're doing now, going, I got to get it out of the bank and I'm going to put it in the gold. And it's really the only safe haven. Houses would be fine. It's a real asset, but it's gone up so much. And with these high interest rates, it's a losing proposition. And then you could buy Mickey Mantle cards and Mahomes and Brady. You could do that, but that's not money. It's a real asset. You could buy a Rolex, but gold is real money. So you have the money. So worst case scenario, it doesn't move. It's still 2,000. 10 years from now, it's 2,000 an ounce. I go back to my jewelry store and say, here's an ounce, give me 2,000. And he gives me whatever currency's there that totals the 2,000 it's worth. That's the worst case. I didn't lose a penny. I didn't take risk that my money in the bank of 300 grand is now worth zero. I didn't do that. It's not a risk. I didn't do that. So it really leaves you with your only option, which is to buy the gold and the silver. They're both money. They're both the same. And I can't lose. But the kicker is, as people realize that the money's worthless, and they will, because it'll start going out everywhere, the euro, the Swiss franc, the British pound, the yen, the won, the ruble, as they start losing it, they'll look around as we're doing right now and go, well, where do I put my money? And some of them will buy stock because they don't know. But the real key will be gold. Gold, I can't lose and I'm going to make money. Because as the demand for gold goes up in a market, demand goes up, price goes up, right? So right now, the demand's here, but the price is 2,000. So once we get rid of COMEX, what I'm saying is the price goes to 20 grand. Now we're at 20 grand, and the demand of everybody who's getting out of their money, who are realizing the money is worthless, and the only alternative is gold, starts to buy more and more gold. But it'd be like 1,000 people wanting this card. There's only 50 of them. Well, the price is going to go up if I got 1,000 people wanting 50, only something that there's only 50 of. And that's really the key. The more people that want it, if the demand is more than the supply, the price goes up. So as people are going to want gold because they're going to need it to survive, the price goes up. So my 2,000 that I should be paying 20 grand for is now 30 or 40 grand because the demand's huge. Think of the Titanic. Once people finally realize the boat's sinking, they go to the lifeboats. And then there's this big fury at the lifeboat to get off. And that'll be what happens in gold. As people realize the only place to go is gold and silver, as they realize it, then there'll be this flood into gold and silver, but there's not enough to go around, because if Russia and China have 100,000 tons and the other central banks, let's say, have another 50, there's only 100,000 tons left for the whole world to buy gold with. And people don't like gold because they don't see it go up, because they don't know it's price fixed. So they'll sit there, they don't know it's price fixed. So they'll go, I don't want to buy gold. It doesn't go up. Maybe I know I got to get out of the dollar. I'll buy Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin? Have no idea. The problem is digital currencies I can't hold in my hands. I want something I can hold because you can't take it away. I got the Mahomes card. I don't have a digital Mahomes card where, okay, I want it. Oh, wait, 100 other people have it too. It's not yours. I don't have that problem. I got the card. I got the dollar. I want something I can hold because I can't get scammed. Look at all these scams. Bankman-Fried and this OneCoin queen who ripped off $2 billion of fake Bitcoin called OneCoin. You don't know what can happen with the digital. Somebody's running it and they steal from you. You can't trust them. You're a fool if you trust that Bitcoin's real and it even exists, because you can't see it and you can't hold it. Well, it's digital. It's a blockchain. Who gives a fuck? That doesn't mean anything. I prefer to have it in my hands than a blockchain or a digital or whatever. I would not ever trust digital. There's digital paintings. You got to be out of your mind to do that. And most of it's a scam, because somebody will buy my painting for $1 million and then I give them the $1 million back, but you don't see that part of it. You just see that, oh, the professor's painting went for $1 million, but you don't see me giving the $1 million back to the guy. But then you go, oh, let's get into it. I can make $1 million. So all these get rich quick schemes that are out there that people are going to. Gold, you can't fuck around with. Gold, you're going to make money. Even more importantly, you can't lose money with it. You hold it in your hand, so you're fine. And when you need to sell it, you go to the where you bought it at, the store, the coin store, whatever, and you say, here's an ounce, give me whatever it's worth. And he gives it to you in 5 seconds. We all know it's real gold. It's real money. It's a real asset, and you have it in your hands. Nobody can say it's worth zero. They can't print it. They can't manufacture any more gold. There is a little bit each year that they dig out of the mine, which is fine. I mean, but there's a lot more buyers than there is supply, which will force the price up. So since we've gone off the gold standard, the one fact I can tell you is in 1971, gold cost $35 an ounce. Now it's $2,100 an ounce. The ounce is the ounce. The ounce did not go up in value. It takes $2,100 to buy the same ounce of gold that was $35.71. The problem is the 2,100 is not the real price either. It's more like 21,000, which really shows you the inflation. So in 71, if you're buying an ounce of gold for $35, and now it takes $21,000 to buy the same ounce, that's pretty high inflation, because that shows you how bad the dollar's gone in value. That's one reason they kind of manipulate it. And the other is to keep you in it, because they make commission. The banks make money on you. The stock people make money on you. The bond people make money on you. That's the whole Wall Street Ponzi scheme. But if you're in gold, they can't get the commission on you. And they can't inflate it. So when the mafia who are running this, JP Morgan, prints $1 billion, they put it in their pocket. They don't care that it's worth less. They just care that they got $1 billion, and they think it's the best Ponzi scheme in the world. I got this money. This is great. I got this money. I just printed it, and now I put it. What a great Ponzi scheme. It's not even a Ponzi scheme. It's just they print the money. They don't even have to sell cigarettes or drugs or anything. They just print money. Turn the printing presses on. Give me the money. Thank you. That's what the government does. They steal from us in many ways. So you can't trust the government. If you're in gold, you don't need to trust the government. You got gold. In gold, you don't need retirement. You don't need life insurance. You hand it down to your kids. There's no tax on it. So if I have a kid and I give him, here's 10 ounces of gold, and my kid gets the 10 ounces, there's no inheritance tax or anything. Nobody knows that I have it. Nobody knows that she has it. That's really the best part of it. It's very secretive, and that's the best part, because when you do everything at the bank, the government knows you got money in the bank. So you can buy a little Rolex, you can buy a Brady card, a Mantle card, Bobby Orr. Those are real assets. They will not lose their value either. But you're better off in gold, because gold hasn't gone. So I show you the Montana rookie cards, $125,000. And, that's already gone from $1,000 card to $125,000 card. Gold's still sitting at $2,000, waiting to go to $125,000. What'll happen is gold will go up 10, 20, 30,000. Then the dollar goes out, and then the best part is gold now is its value. Gold doesn't need the dollar to have value. You don't have to value gold in dollars. You value gold in what you can buy with it. Houses, cars. Where that's the other problem with Bitcoin. You value it in dollars, but when the dollar goes out, what's the Bitcoin value? There isn't one. Gold doesn't need the dollar to have a value, but Bitcoin does. So please be careful with Bitcoin. It's a Ponzi scheme. We don't know how it goes up and down. Is it supply and demand? We don't know. We wish gold was supply and demand, free market in a physical price, but it's still paper. But that's being blown up as the BRICS countries. Russia's coming out with gold-backed currency this year, as is BRICS, to get away from this. Have a Swiss franc, buy a dollar, buy a British pound. It'll be take the Swiss franc, buy gold to buy the British pound. So that's where we're headed. So that's the biggest thing, how corrupt the paper dollar system is. And the only out is the gold or a Mantle card or a Rolex. But I wouldn't put 300 Rand into a Mantle card or a Rolex as I would in gold. I guess you could in a Mantle card. You get a nice PSA 10, 1955 Mantle card. It's worth $1 million. I guess you'd be okay, but you'd still have to sell it. And are you going to be able to sell it? Gold is fine. I can sell a piece of it. So I have an ounce, a half ounce, a quarter ounce, a tenth of an ounce. I can go sell a quarter ounce of gold and I'm not going to have a problem. But selling a $1 million Mantle card or Bobby Orr or Brady card could be a problem. All right, let's talk deflation and inflation. Inflation, as I've said, is increasing the money supply. You're making too much money. Again, I showed you this. It's the same thing. There's a million of these. There's a trillion of these. There's too many of them. Therefore, they don't have a value. It's not measured in prices. It's measured in the amount that you've printed of the supply. You're inflating the supply, hence inflation. Prices are an effect of the inflation, but you don't measure the inflation in prices because the market will price it as the market does. And if the market doesn't take the increase and your costs go up and now you got to lower your prices, that doesn't mean inflation went down. Inflation is inflation. It takes $10 to buy, I don't know, let's say this card's $1. Now you have inflation. This card costs you $10. But in the market, I'm not going to pay $10 for it. So I can only get $1 for it. So even though there's inflation, well, it's kind of a bad example, maybe the pen. So the pen would cost me $1. Now it's inflated, which means the cost for the producer to make this has gone up to $3. So now he's got to sell it for $5. I'm not going to give you $5. I don't care because I'm the market. I'm not going to give you $5 for this. I'm only going to maybe I'll give you $2. But his cost went up, so he can't afford to make the pen and only sell it for $2. But if the price, you can't look at the price of this pen because if the price goes to $3, that's not inflation. That's again dealing with the market. And if the price you tried to make it $3 didn't work, and now it goes back to $1, that's not deflation. That's not inflation going down. That's just the market saying we're not going to pay for it. And the market controls the price. So that's why you can't look at prices. So then there's all the talk of deflation. Now, these are Keynesians who say this because Austrians talk about the market. So this is $50. They print and print and print the money. So now it takes Canadian Club more money to buy the electricity and the label and the bottles. So to make money, I got to sell it for $65. So they put a $65 price on it. Well, the market says I'm not paying $65. So is there inflation of $15 on it? They tried. If the price goes to 65 and they can't sell it and they lower the price back to 50, does that mean inflation went down? No, because they still printed trillions of dollars. That didn't go away. The inflation did not move. And guess what? Inflation, interest rates don't do anything for inflation. I guess their theory is they're Keynesian, so they think, well, if I have high interest rates, people won't buy as much, so the price comes down, and that's how I get rid of inflation because I'm looking at it by prices because I'm a Keynesian. But that's not inflation. I mean, the only way you get rid of inflation is to burn a whole lot of money. Take the supply down, which you can't do because it's out. Once it's out, it's out. So you really never get rid of inflation. You usually have to switch dollars or go to a gold-backed system. You have to get to a system where it's weighted down. So that's why interest rates are just phony because they're looking at it as the prices, not you've inflated the supply of dollars. So they won't admit it. I don't know if they know it or not, but they'll go to raise interest rates, which is meaningless. And all it does is fuck up the economy, because then it makes everything cost more, because all the prices are up. So all the costs go up. So the sales prices go up if you'll let them. The way you don't is you substitute the good. Instead of buying a New York strip, you buy another steak, or you buy hamburger, or you buy chicken, or you buy turkey, or whatever. That's how you get around the inflation. Some inflation you can't, like heat and electricity. It is what it is, because you can't substitute it. I guess you can get rid of heat and build a fire in your house. Electricity, I don't know what you can do. But basically that's, certain things you're stuck with, but most things you don't want to buy Cheerios. You can buy the no brand Cheerios that, Costco sells, right? The Costco brand. Well, that's how you can substitute. But deflation is not real theoretically. It's prices coming down because there's less money in the system, because you've made the money worth less. But is it bad? No, not really. Not if you own gold. It's not, because the gold price won't go down. It just means that the price. So if the price is $50, my cost is $30. I'm making $20 a bottle, and now I can't sell it anymore. Nobody's got money to buy it, and the price goes down to $30. My costs are $30. The price goes down to $25. So we'll call that deflation, the price dropping. But I can't make it for the 25. And the reason it's 25, because I can't sell it at 50, because they fucked the money up. So the money's gone. It's worthless. It takes too many dollars to buy everything. And so I can't afford $50 for the Canadian club. I can only afford 25. Well, that's business. My costs went up. I can't sell it for market prices and make a profit. I go out of business. There's nothing wrong with that. That's economics. You look at the market. What can I sell this at? $50. What is it going to cost me to make it? 35. I'm in. But as soon as I can't get the 50, but my costs go to 50 and I can only get 35, I go out of business. That's business. If you can't make money, if the market price is lower than your cost, you don't produce it. Where's my mug? I don't have it. But so in this, if I can only get $1 for this pen and it was 50 cents, okay, I go into the business and now it's $2, I go out of business. That's it. Deflation is just simply because you fucked up the dollar with the inflation and the prices go down, like in houses. Well, their prices are going down because of the inflation, because of the interest rates. When you add the principal plus the interest rate, you're raising the price dramatically on the house. So a $300,000 house with inflation, it takes more money to buy it. Now add the interest rate, because the lender needs more money to make profit on it. Then it's now a $600,000 house, not a $300,000 house. So guess what? The price of the house is going down because people can't afford it, because the market says 300 grand and you're trying to sell it at $6. Or like my friends at Toyota, it's 25,000 for a Camry. You're trying to sell it at 35 with higher interest rates. Well, of course, you're not going to sell it. Is that deflation? No, that's the cause of the inflation. And therefore, the fact that the value of the car goes down is because nobody has money, because you fucked up the money. Call a spade a spade. You fuck up the money, of course you're not going to have it. But it's not deflation. So everybody's scared of deflation, and this is Keynesian, says, oh, wait, we don't, the prices are going down. Well, okay. But who cares that the prices are going down? Prices go up and down all over. Look at Microsoft. You buy it at 100, it goes to 150, it goes back to 100. Is that deflation? No, that's the market. The market controls everything, so you must understand that. And when you have inflation, you should get out of business and buy gold. I lost my job back like a year ago. This real stupid job run by morons. And so they let me go because they were not bringing in a new computer system that I could use to do my job. So I couldn't do my job, not performance. So as I'm leaving, I'm telling the CFO, well, it doesn't matter. You'll be out of business within a year because of the inflation and everything else. Nobody's going to buy your stuff anyway. Nobody, because it's not a need. He was selling, I don't know, roller type of stuff, but there wasn't a demand for it. I don't know how they sold any of it, but okay, they did. But I said to him, you'll be out of business anyway because nobody's going to buy your crap. Then I said, do you have any gold? And he, of course not. And I said, well, you're fucked anyway. If you don't have gold and you're going to be in paper and the paper goes to zero, then where are you going to be? So you're Mr. I didn't like the way he was treating me. So I'm like, like basically calling the guy an idiot. He's the CFO. And I'm laughing at him going, yeah, you don't know what you're doing. So couldn't understand it. But anyway, inflation's the killer because it ruins the money. When you ruin the money, you're fucked. So the only way out is to exchange your money for real money, and the real money is gold and silver because they can't inflate it. And that's the key. So when the dollar goes out, then everything will be in gold and you'll be fine. You'll make 100 times on it. Your $2,000 an ounce gold will be worth 50,000 to the point you'll buy a house with an ounce or two of gold. Interest rates. Interest rates are because of the paper system. If you had gold, you would not have interest rates. You wouldn't have a need for it because the gold would never fluctuate in value. It might go up a little bit because there'd be more demand for gold, but basically you can't inflate the gold. So interest rates are because of the central banks and that they print the money and they lose the value. So you're charging an interest rate because if I give somebody 20 grand, I don't want to get paid back in inflated dollars of 20 grand because then I'll really be getting 15 grand back. So if I'm going to lend 20 grand out, I want to get 25 of inflated dollars, which might give me a profit of 1 or 2,000. So I have to charge an interest rate high enough so I make money on my 20. That's what an interest rate is. It's the cost of money. It's the cost of lending. And that's why when you go buy a car now, it's 10%, or a mortgage, it's 10% because why would I lend 10,000 out and get 8 back for it? And that's the way it works with inflation. You keep printing the money, it keeps becoming worth less and less. And if that's the case, then your value goes down. So if I lend it out, I get paid back in cheaper dollars. So I don't want to do that. So that's where the interest rate comes in. Okay, I'll charge 7%. The 10 grand will get me 12 back. So I make 2 grand. Or I can just buy gold and not fuck around with that. Free market. Free market is get the government out the fucking way. Adam Smith, I want to buy the Mahomes card. Let me buy it. Get away. All this government bureaucracy. Just here's the card. Sell it. Gold, give me free market. Get the derivative bullshit out of the way. It's all corrupt. It's all illegal. And they've been told they were illegal. They pay a fine and they keep doing it. It's just a great system of the banks running the government, and then they won't prosecute themselves. So all the banks run all the government, run all the senators, congressmen are run by the banks, which is where you get all the corruption. And that's what the government is. It's all corrupt. The system is set up where you need to buy votes. You need to get elected with money. So JP Morgan gives you $1 million and you get elected. Oh, well, I gave you that million, so you got to do this, this, and this for me, which you do. And then, but don't prosecute me for doing this, this, or that. You just slap my wrist, pay a fine. That's what JP Morgan, they were in charge of the Madoff scan. They're in charge of all the real estate trusts that went fucked, and they're in charge of the gold being price fixed. So in a free market, we want gold to be a physical free market price, meaning if the demand is there at 10,000, let the price go to 10,000. Don't price fix it with derivatives, keeping the price at 2,000 when the price in a free market, physical market of gold, which there is not, it's a paper price. So it's a paper price of gold selling physical. What the fuck is that? This is not a paper price of my homes. I get this is the price, physical, and that's what you pay me for. So that's what I mean by free market. Just let it go. I go to the grocery store. They want to charge me $10 for New York strip. And I say, that's too much. I don't buy it. But it's free market. And then if it's $7, I pay $7 for it. If it's $20, I don't. So that's free market. Here's the price. You can buy it. Not the corrupt price fixed of the gold and silver corruption. That's absolutely a joke. It's embarrassing to JP Morgan and these people that they're so stupid they're on the wrong end of it. You don't keep the price of gold down. You don't price fix it down, you idiots. You buy it and let it go up. You make far more if you bought the gold and let the price run than you're doing printing the billions of dollars and trillions of dollars of this crap, watching it go to zero. So when Warren Buffett, who has $2 billion, goes to zero, which he could have bought $2 billion of gold, that he'd be richer than rich. So this is what I don't understand, being on the wrong side of a price fix. So they keep the price of gold down because they want to keep you in. They want to keep you in this, which is for the banks, which is for Wall Street. So that's all controlled by this. You'll never have a financial planner, stockbroker tell you to buy gold because there's no commission. So he's going to tell you to buy Microsoft stock and buy a real estate trust and buy an annuity and buy a money market, keep your money in the bank. And they're all lying to you and you're getting fucked left, right, and center. So I do this to unfuck you, basically. I'm unplugging you from the matrix. So basically, you should run and buy as much gold and silver as you possibly can. Now, people are saying, you know what, silver's only 25 an ounce, where gold's, 2,000 an ounce. Well, when I walk out buying silver, I'll buy 20 ounces of silver in a container, and I'm like, it's $25 an ounce, right? So 25 times, it's $500. And I walk out going, I just bought $20,000 worth of silver for $500 because I know silver is $1,000 an ounce, easily, probably higher, because again, it's price fixed. So as the inflation's hitting, the price isn't going up, which I have why I struggle with the guys who are saying it's not the price going, it's the dollar going down, not the price of gold and silver going up. No, it's not going up. That's the problem. As they're inflating the money, the gold, the silver's not going up. Do you think 25 is the real price of silver? Fuck, they're using it for solar and these electric batteries and everything else. Why the fuck would silver still be at 25 an ounce? Well, it's there so the guy doing the battery and the solar panels can afford it. That's why it's kept at 25. But what will happen is as gold goes up, people won't be able to afford it. Gold hits 20,000 an ounce. How many ounces are you going to buy? At 2,000, I can buy 10 ounces, and then I run out of money to buy it. I buy a quarter ounce here and a half ounce there. But as you can't afford it, silver's there at 25. Let's buy that because it's the same thing. It's money, and you can't print it. Gold and silver are money that can't be printed, that can never lose their value and never go to zero. So we understand silver is being price fixed by JP Morgan with these derivatives, paper silver. We get it. Russia, China don't get it. Russia, China, and BRICS are sitting there going, okay, let's keep buying it. Oh, they're all done. Now let's raise the price. So when Russia comes out with gold-backed currency, it's also silver is included in the equation. So as gold goes to 20,000, silver goes to 1,000. So these people that are so stupid that say, well, silver's never been over $50. Well, it's price fixed. It's never been in the free market. Once it hits the free market, it'll be a hell of a lot more than 25 or 50. But people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, so they don't understand the price fixing by the COMEX derivative market. They don't get that. And then here comes gold backed currency. Silver goes along for the ride because people start realizing that that's money. And so, therefore, when they make these ridiculous claims that it won't go over 50, it shows how stupid they are. So when I hear that, I just laugh and go, oh, this guy's an idiot. And I don't even have a conversation with them. So as I'm growing, now I've learned this in 1995, but it's really coming to fruition now. And I just see this. I bought this in 1995 for $500. It's an ounce of 18 karat gold. It's worth 3/4 of the ounce. So if the ounce goes to 3,000, this is worth 1,500 at 2,000. It's worth 3/4 of 2,000. So you want to buy coins and bars over jewelry. Jewelry, it's like 18 karat. You're going to get 3/4 of the ounce. So you're not getting the full ounce, but you're still paying the full ounce for it. That's the scam in gold and jewelry. You got to be careful with it. So let's see. So that's free market. Now, Keynesians and Austrians. There's two types of economics, not three, not MMT. MMTs are Keynesians. Keynesians are communists. They believe the government should control things. They believe that there's no gold standard because if there is, they can't print and print and print. They want to control you, and they think the market's stagnant, and they don't want really a free market. They want to tell you, you want the Canadian Club, you're going to pay 25 for it. And if you want to make it, too bad if it costs you more than 25. Austrians believe in free market economics, where the individual controls things, not the government. We believe in sound money, which is gold and silver. We believe in sound laws, not this corruption crap. And you'll never have problems with Austrian economics because it's free market. You want to buy a blue sweatshirt, you buy a blue sweatshirt. Not a problem. You want Canadian Club, go buy it. Socialism and communism is very dangerous. The government runs things. You lose your freedom. You lose your, I want to go buy this. I want to go buy that. The pricing is not accurate. You're basically fucked in Keynesians. So Keynesians don't like gold or apparently laws. Mostly it was this Keynes guy in the 1920s and 30s from England. FDR had him as his guy, and we saw what happened there with a 10-year depression that should never have been. Government printing money, government projects. You've got to let the free market come up with it. So the free market comes up with Canadian Club, and people buy and sell it. And in the Keynesian view, well, we'll build bridges and highways. We'll just spend money, and that'll help the economy. Well, no, it doesn't help the economy. What helps the economy is the guy makes the Canadian Club, and he hires people, and then we buy it. So he then makes more money. And then the people working there go to Target and go to the grocery store and go to the restaurants, and they spend their money. And then these people hire, and then everybody has more money because they've earned it. You have to earn the money. You can't get this government spending on a dam or a bridge or a railway or something. It has to be there. Dr. Football, hello. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'm more of a teacher. I do handicap since 1970s. I give out the picks. I also have a website where I sell them, and I teach class. So I'm teaching on economics, but I have videos all the time on picking football, like last weekend. My lock last weekend was the Lions over, and it won. So I do teasers because it's the best way to bet. You win. It makes winners out of losers. So welcome to the channel. Please feel free to ask questions or comments. www.teaserking.com. You can go into my history, and you can see all my picks, winners and losers. I know I'm unique. I actually put my losers up there. Well, okay. Teasers like make things easier. So in other words, this weekend we got Buffalo and Kansas City, and Buffalo's a 3-point favorite. Pretty hard pick, right? But if I get KC and 9, that makes it a whole lot easier. KC and 9 against Buffalo versus KC plus 3. That's the theory of it. And then I have all these trend analysis where teams are good as dogs and favorites and overs and unders. I nailed every over and under last week. Tampa Bay over, Detroit over, Dallas over. I went under on the KC game and over on the Cleveland game. So nailed them all. I've got that down looking at teams' defense and quarterbacks and stuff like that. You say you are teaching class. Are you a professor or teacher by profession? I've got a master's in finance and economics, and I would say that I can teach better than anybody else. I get a lot of compliments on it. Only problem with the teaser is you must have 2 winners to win, as opposed to a straight bet, you need only one. Exactly, but it's not hard to find 2 games in a teaser. And like I said, I could take KC and 9 and win with it. And let's say Buffalo wins by 4. You lose your KC bet. I win my KC bet. I turn a lot of losers into winners because I know what I'm looking for versus, yes, I know about one winner, but there's like I said, I played all 6 games. I don't know how many you played last weekend, but I played all 6 of them. So it's, I'll go 12-1 a couple of weeks ago. So it's not hard for me to find 2 teasers because I have my theories and methods that, just they work great and they're time tested, since the 70s. But I get what you're saying, but how much money are you making picking straight versus if you eliminate a lot of losers by putting them in a teaser, if you know what to look at? Like I said, KC and 9, the odds on winning that are probably 90%. KC and 3, it's probably 50-50. So I've just taken it, and now I have a very good chance of winning KC and 9. You can lose the KC and 3, you've got a loser. I still have a winner. Now I got to look for the second game, which is not hard at all. I did play a 3-team teaser on Saturday with Texans over, and Kansas City. Well, there you go. So you found 3 teams. All right, excuse me, but let me finish up my economics. This is strictly an economic one, but I'll do a football one later. So the Austrians believe in free market. As Dr. Football is saying, he wants to bet a teaser or 3 or straight. He can do that. It's Austrian economics. He's free to do what he wants. In a Keynesian view, with a communist, he can't do it. They would say you can only make a 1-team, you can only make a 1-play team. You can't do a 2-team teaser or a 3-team teaser, and you're going to get 14-10 odds. So you got to lay 140 to win 100 in a communist society of football betting. That's probably the best way to say it. They're going to print money to zero like they're doing, and they don't want you in gold. So you're totally fucked in a Keynesian economics thing. They believe in deflation. They don't know what inflation is. They think you can print and print and print, and it has no problem with the value of the dollar, where we know it does. And they don't want you in gold because they can't control you. It's very dangerous, the Keynesians, and yet the Keynesians seem to be in charge of every country in the fucking world. You can thank George Soros because of that, because he's a Nazi, and he knows that's the surest way to bankrupt everybody and get revenge for the Nazis losing. He gets a revenge game. I'll put the Keynesians in charge, so he controls the elections. They run every fucking country. Why would no country have a gold standard? What the fuck is that all about? Yeah, look what's happening. Russia's going to a gold standard. BRICS is going to a gold standard. China's going to a gold standard. Wait a minute. So people are realizing that the Keynesian way sucks and fucks everybody up and bankrupts everybody. Every country's bankrupt now. because they printed their shit to death. It's all worthless shit. And you're only out gold, but the Keynesians don't want you in gold. Well, we'll follow Putin. Yeah, he's got 33,000 tons of it, so it must be a good investment. Or it's not even an investment, it's money. But that's where you want to go. You can't lose. They can't print it. It can't go to zero. There's huge demand. So anything high demand in a free market system that can't be printed can only go up in value as demand outweighs supply. So this many people want it. There's only this much supply. The price has to go up to the moon. That's Austrian economics. So they'll try to paint it like it's a bad thing, but they don't know. And most people can't explain it. That's why I'm here. So you'll dictate to me if I'm a good teacher or not, but I've not had any negative as far as me teaching. Okay, I will tune in later to football. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Football. Hey, Nick. Yeah, I wanted to do an economic one. So this is really just econ. And I wanted to throw it out there. I really didn't want to go an hour. I wanted to go like 20 minutes of a brief explanation, which I find I can't do because there's so many turns and details that I get into, like picking football. I can't. It's not just boom, boom, boom. And so I wanted to talk about these. I will do one on Titanic and gold again. But the real thought is gold you can't inflate. You can't print it, and silver. And it can only go up in value as long as there's demand, which there's huge demand for it. Because everybody realizes that the ship has hit the iceberg, is sinking. Every country in the world has realized this. And all the central banks are buying gold. Why? Because it can't. It's protection. It can't go to zero and you can't inflate it. So that's really the bottom line here, where the paper's being inflated and everybody's about to get fucked over, and your 500 grand in the bank or your $1 million in the bank or your $1 million in Microsoft is all going to zero. And you can prevent it by buying gold. You can't lose. It can't be inflated. And the 2,000 an ounce is a joke. It's more about 20,000. And I know you doubt it because you haven't seen it. Oh, 2,000 is the high. Yeah, but here comes Russia and China and BRICS coming out with gold-backed currency. Saudis wanting gold for oil, not dollars. And it's a whole new ball game. And you'll see that. In a worst case, you go back to the store and you take your gold and say, give me back my cash. And the guy will give you your cash in 2 seconds. When I go to the gold store, he's got gold. And he says, I get it when people sell their gold to me. So he takes the gold and he gives them money and then he displays the gold. So he will take your gold in 2 seconds. He loves getting the gold because he knows I'm going to come and buy it. Because he knows I know what it is and I know it's worth a lot more than 2. And I'll kid with him and I'll say, why are you selling this physical gold at paper gold prices? And he just laughs with me and he goes, well, I got to pay the bills and I can't really sell it for more. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is this: these people in these IRAs are selling the gold ounces for 6,000, and some guy's trying to be a whistleblower and say you can't. And I have a problem with that. They can sell it for whatever they want. If I want to put on eBay my ounce of gold for 10 grand, I am not hurting anybody or Ponzi scheming anybody. I am creating a market for it. And if you want it, then I am not hurting you or forcing you to buy it. So these people that bought the gold for 6,000 an ounce on this IRA stuff where they're selling physical gold, it's their problem for paying 6. Everybody in my class knows it's $2,000. I show you the eBay, maybe 21.20. So why would you spend $6,000 if I'm telling you it's 2 and I'm showing you eBay at 21? Why the fuck would you spend 6,000 on it? You have nobody to blame but yourself. They are not Ponzi scheming you. They are not doing anything wrong. They are putting a price up that you can say no to. You don't have to buy for them. Just go on eBay or go to my guy's store and you can buy it for $2,000. So that's just being lazy. Stop. That's like the Madoff people going, oh, Bernie, I had my life savings. And well, you're a fucking idiot. You knew it was a Ponzi scheme or you're too stupid. you shouldn't be investing in it. If you can't go to Madoff and say, how are you making money? If you even care how he makes money. Here's 20 grand. I'm going to get 15% a month. Fine. And he's paying me. And then my dad's in it, and he's paying my dad every month for 5 years. Do I give a fuck what he's doing with the money? No. But when he does go out for being a Ponzi scheme, I can't blame him. I blame myself, sort of at the craps table. If I'm playing the numbers 5 and 9 and 10, and then the 7 hits, I'm going to do cry because the 7 hit? That's part of the game. The 7 hits. You lose, the 7 hits. But you got to know that's part of the game. So you got to know if Madoff is coming out with this shit, you got to know that it's a scam, and at some point you need to sell it. And that's it. But how is it any different than a bank? Where do you think the bank gets the money to put your to pay your interest if you're in a CD? So you're getting 5% in a CD now, and you got 100 grand. Where do you think they're getting the 5% from? They're printing the money. They're getting the Fed to print the money. That's where the Fed funds rate comes in. And then they're paying you with what the Fed, because nobody's putting their money into a bank, and they can't loan it out because nobody can afford these loans. But you don't ask that question, do you? You don't say. You just say, oh, it's Chase Manhattan, and I get 5%. Until they go out of business, like Credit Suisse. And, oh, you're fucked because they went out of business. You have nothing. So that's really not, that's your fault. You have to take responsibility and understand what's going on. And you come to me and ask the question, and I'll give you the answer. You can't go to a stockbroker or financial planner because they won't tell you gold, because they don't get commission in it, and they're working for a commission. I keep hearing retirement planning. It's simple. Buy gold. You want retirement planning. You want to pay for your funeral. Just buy gold. You buy gold, you can't lose. You'll have, that's your retirement. That's your funeral. That's your life insurance. All in one. Just buy gold. Buy as much as you can. And if you can't afford too much, buy silver. You can't lose. You can't go wrong. So I wanted to get that in a special economic one. And then we're going to, we'll do football a little bit later. Got the over in the Tampa Philly game yesterday. And we got it at the end, but we got it. And then the Pitt Buffalo, I got fucked because I bet it based on 25 mile an hour winds and snow. I bet the under. And then it was not snow and very light wind, and you got a 40-point game. Well, wait a minute. 48, I'm over 30, I'm over 43. And wait a minute, this is bullshit. You can't move the game on me because I've already bet it based on being intelligent, saying there's snow and high wind. They're not going to score points with two strong defenses like this. So now you fucked me with that one. So that's my only loser based on the weather that I was smart enough to play. And then I get fucked because they move it. Like, what is that? Do I get my money back? I wonder if I get my money back if I was in Vegas, if I was at Caesars and I have the bet and now the games move from Sunday to Monday. Do I get to cash my ticket in? Because theoretically, you've canceled the game. I should cancel the ticket. I think I could. So I think I would have gotten a buyout on the ticket because I had it with who did I have it with? Well, I might have had it with Kansas City under, so I might have been fucked. But if Kansas City won, I might have been able to cancel the ticket and get my money back. Anyway, that's what economics is. Inflation, deflation, Keynesian. It's all evil. It's all terrible. But the way you beat it, which is what I'm very good at, is with gold. Gold and silver, you're the winner. You can't lose. Now, we all bet sports. Name a game that we bet that we can't lose. Even my locks lose. So name something that you can't lose in besides gold and silver, and you can't. Microsoft, Apple, you can buy stocks, you lose. So anyway, that's the bottom line. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please, www.teaserking.com. Get my email. Please email me with questions or comments, or you want to do Bitcoin, you want to do this or that. Please feel free. So I'll be doing more of these specific economics because I tend to go 3 hours and do football and economics. And this way I can do football, end it, do economics, end it, and keep it separate where people can just go into what they want. I know Bobby likes the economics and he likes the football. But anyway, so have a great day. I'll be back soon. I'm going to go swim, and then I'll be back in the early afternoon for football. www.teaserking.com. I hope you like my new little edited homepage video. And well, I didn't really edit the video, but I entered the description. All right, everybody. Have a great day. www.teaserking.com.